Welcome back to 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
And we begin with the latest on COVID-19 in Kern County. And moments ago, we learned another 13 people have died from the virus. We also learned another 451 people have tested positive. And although today's numbers are grim, there's hope today as the worst days of the pandemic could be behind us. Here's a look at today's numbers. On average, our average is 412 people testing positive every day. To compare, during the week after New Year's, over 1,100 people were getting sick every day. The same trend is happening in our hospitals. 273 people are hospitalized right now with coronavirus. 46 more are in the ICU. Our numbers were nearly double this about a month ago, and we haven't seen this low of numbers since mid-December. And a new report shows that double masking can significantly improve protection from COVID-19.
The CDC recommendation came from a study they did where they looked at an aerosol spreading model that measured particle counts with single versus double masking.
Now, researchers found that wearing just one mask blocked 42% of the particles from a simulated cough, but that jumped to 82% if a cloth mask was worn on top of a surgical mask. They also found that knotting the air loops of a surgical mask and tucking in the sides reduced exposure to particles by about 65%. But exposure can be reduced by more than 95% if both people in close contact are double masked or wear the knotted and tucked surgical masks. Now, a milestone in the race to vaccinate Americans against the coronavirus has been reached. According to the latest numbers from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 10 million people in the United States have received 2 doses of the vaccine. California has the highest 2-dose vaccination rate, followed by Texas, Florida, and New York. Overall, the CDC says nearly 45 million doses of the vaccine have been administered. And here's a look at the list of people who are eligible to get the shot in Kern County right now. Anyone 65 years or older, all healthcare workers, and first responders. The next tier of people eligible for the vaccine will include teachers, child care workers, those in emergency services, and people who work in the food and agriculture industry. The state has already given the okay for this group, but it's unclear when the county will give its okay. And Houchin Community Blood Bank says it will be doing COVID-19 antibody testing for all blood donors. The blood bank says it is still in urgent need of donations of all blood types, plus platelets, plasma, and COVID-19 convalescent plasma. When you donate, you will get your results from the antibody test within 7 days. If you are positive for COVID antibodies, you will be eligible to donate COVID convalescent plasma. And African Americans suffer from some of the highest death rates from the coronavirus, but many say they won't get a vaccine. Today, 5 experts from Kern's Black community will join 17 News to break down the historical issues frightening some people away from the shots. The panel will also separate the facts from fiction about the COVID-19 vaccine to help you make a decision. It's all happening today at 6 p.m. right here on TV 17. And it's Black History Month, and today we're recognizing some of the talented African American artists from Bakersfield. Some of the best country singers in the world have come out of our town. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll find a lot of jazz and soul music as well. There are a few popular artists that come to mind when thinking of the Black music scene in Bakersfield. One of them is 2-time Grammy Award-winning singer Gregory Porter. He spent his entire childhood in Bakersfield. His mother moved here from Louisiana when she was 14 to pick cotton. His childhood in Bakersfield was a crucial part in his development as an artist.
Some of the themes that I pull from church find their way into my music.
Never cease my mind, never seem to find an explanation for time.
And Crimson Sky is a local singer-songwriter who wants to use music to unite the Bakersfield community. She's organized peaceful sit-ins in support of gay pride and women's rights. The most recent was after the death of George Floyd.
And this was the one thing that I could do, and people needed it, and we could come together with music at the center, with love at the center, peace at the center of it. And that's really become a big part of who I am.
And a reminder, you can tune in for a Black History special on February 27th right here on TV 17. And now from our 17 follow-up file, it's been more than 6 months since the July 22nd hit-and-run crash near CSU Bakersfield that killed 65-year-old Deborah Ann Jeannot, and still no one has come forward to take responsibility. With no arrests made, the family of Deborah Jeannot and law firm Chain Cone Styles have increased their reward to $7,500 for the person who helps identify the driver that is suspected of causing the crash. That suspect was driving a dark gray Nissan Sentra 2013 to 2019 model with minor damage on the driver's side of the car. Anyone with information is urged to call 326-3967 or the secret witness hotline at 322-4040. And it's now been 52 days since 3-year-old Orson and 4-year-old Oren West were reported missing from their California City home. There are still no named suspects in this case. The West brothers were first reported missing on December 21st. Despite efforts from law enforcement, there has not been a break in the case. Police say the family is cooperating with the investigation. The reward for information on the boys' whereabouts now stands at $120,000. If you have any information, you can call the California City Police Department at 760-373-8606 or the secret witness hotline at 322-4040. In education news, local school districts are working to get all students back into the classroom amid the pandemic. Now, according to the Rosedale Union School District, if the county continues to see a decline in positive cases, then some students will be able to return to in-person learning. The board made the decision Tuesday. The district says if there is a consecutive downturn in cases, 7th and 8th graders will return on March 1st instead of March 8th. RUSD has not scheduled another meeting to discuss reopening plans. Currently, every other grade has returned for in-person learning. And the Panama-Buena Vista Union School District released a chart showing the stages for reopening. The first stage begins with a special day of classes on February 25th for pre-K through 8th grade. The other stages are dependent on the decline of positive COVID-19 cases being at or below 25 per 100,000 people. If cases remain low, then the next stage would allow transitional kindergarten, and small groups of junior high students back on March 4th, followed by 1st, 2nd, and 3rd graders on March 11th, and 4th, 5th, and 6th graders on March 18th. 7th and 8th graders have not yet been assigned a return date. And the Kern County Science Fair is approaching next month, and the event needs judges. Hundreds of local students participate in the fair every year for a chance to move on and compete against students from around the state. Like most events, this year's fair will take place virtually. It's happening from March 15th to March 17th. If you'd like to volunteer to be a judge, we have the link on our website. Golden Empire Transit is proposing some changes to trips around town, and they want to hear from you. Get Bus will be holding a public hearing next week to get input on the proposed changes to weekday services due to COVID-19. Those changes include discontinuing some trips and changing the frequency of others. The hearing will also include time for public comment on unmet transit needs in our area. It's happening at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday. To get details on the proposed adjustments or provide a written comment, we have the link on our website, kget.com. And the Bakersfield Museum of Art isn't letting the pandemic prevent us from celebrating Bakersfield's famed musical legacy, the Bakersfield Sound. It opens today at 7 p.m. virtually for now. You can experience a 3D walkthrough of the exhibit from the comfort and safety of your home. It's titled Roll Out the Red Carpet and showcases the major figures and stylings of the country music subgenre that made Bakersfield famous. From the first Fender Telecaster Buck Owens ever owned to Merle Haggard's boots, it's right here. Curator Rachel Magnus says she hopes to open the exhibit to real-life museum guests later this year. Also on the museum's winter 2021 bill, in adjoining galleries, collections by painters Art Sherwin and Linda Christensen. The exhibition will close August 28th. Check it out at bmoa.org/events. And this week, you can support local families affected by cancer by purchasing a box of Duwar's Chews. Mendaburu Magic Foundation and KGET have teamed up yet again for the annual Cupid's Challenge. All month long, you can buy boxes online or you can purchase them in a drive-through that's happening tomorrow from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Duwar's on I Street. A box of the famous chews will cost $20. The money raised goes to the Mendaburu Magic Foundation, which helps families and children dealing with cancer or other serious illnesses. Well, putting love on the back burner, a new survey from LendingTree finds nearly 40% of Americans plan to skip Valentine's Day this year to save money. Men are more likely than women to say they're skipping the holiday to save, but women are twice as likely to say they would be upset if their partner suggested this. Women are more likely to say they will spend less on Valentine's Day this year compared to last. 38% of partnered consumers say they will take on credit card debt because of Valentine's Day.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.